Hello there, this is Pablo Gunner of TNTM The Show, here to talk nerdy to you about any and all things nerdy. Now get back to listening to the podcast that wouldn't die.
Father Gabriele Amort. On the night of June 4th, you performed an exorcism.
That was not an exorcism.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Yo!
This week, we have a special guest. My sister, Tara. How's it going?
Hola, hola.
Oh, she's been on our show a few times. What was it? It was the new Hellraiser. It was Drag Me to Hell. A lot of hell stuff going on.
Always.
That's her theme.
The power of Christ compels me.
Compels you.
So this week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we're discussing the new classic, The Pope's Exorcist, starring Russell Crowe, who I thought was Ralph Macchio for about half the movie.
What the F? How's that even like? Why didn't you say you thought he was like Rutger Hauer or something? How are they two even related?
Or Danny DeVito. Really?
I
thought it was Danny DeVito.
You guys are out of your GD mind. The younger priest was obviously the reincarnation of Ralph Macchio. That's all I can tell you. Have you seen Ralph Macchio
the
lately?
younger priest. I thought you meant Russell Crowe. Like we were
Me
confused.
too.
No.
The two.
No, I said Russell Crowe and Ralph Macchio.
You said the
Wrong.
priest. Lies. The
Okay.
priest. Bring me the priest.
Oy.
Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genres. What's going on, guys? What's the latest?
What can I say? I'm back to work. I'm exhausted.
This is what
And
people
here
tune in
I
to hear.
am.
Yeah,
Sweet
the new
Jesus.
house has been down, so we've been, dealing with some surgeries and coronavirus. So we're
I
rocking
thought
out a
your
lot of
husband was
movies.
just at a Metallica concert, spreading the vid to tens of thousands.
No, he didn't have the vid. He just had the oral surgery, but he's back on the horse.
Too much oral.
Back on the heroin? What are you saying?
It has certain curative properties.
Took a dark turn.
Rob Newkirk and Iggy Pop together again.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I was talking
The partnership you didn't know you needed.
That is absolutely true. I was talking to Aaron about how when I watch movies with Becky, they are not these kind of movies, but they are random things that she finds on like Hulu or Prime where I'm like, we recognize the actors, but I've never heard of this film. So we started this one. It was called like Kate and Sam or Sam and Kate or whatever. And it is Dustin Hoffman, Sissy Spacek, and it's their real life children playing their children in the movie. So it was it was a bizarro kind of, because I'm like, that must be a Hoffman, because he looks just like Dustin Hoffman. But of course, what's another thing that's funny about it is he often plays Dustin Hoffman's grandson, even though he's his son. So shots
Maybe
fired.
his son by a third marriage. He was like 70 when he had him.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Things
No,
happen.
we
with
just
Dustin
watched
Hoffman.
a terrible movie, the new Adam Sandler, something about I disinvite you, you're not invited to my bat mitzvah or whatever.
Oh,
It was
come
number
on, man.
one on Netflix, and
That's a lie.
his whole family is in it. And it's so
Of
obvious.
course.
I'm like, okay, both of his daughters are clearly, it's him in a wig.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the nepotism has got to stop. It's bad.
This movie we are reviewing is number one on Netflix right now.
Adam Sandler's
So
not involved with it.
As far
as we-
as we
Happy
know.
Madison.
No, there's nothing happy about this Madison.
No, I saw an Adam Sandler movie a couple years ago. It was called Jack and Jill, Do you remember this one where it was
I
Adam
refused
Sandler?
it. Yeah,
He
he played
plays
twins.
yes, he plays himself and his twin sister, and Al
Yeah.
Oh,
Pacino's in it
God.
for some reason. I'm like, what in the
'Cause
hell is going on? It's
gambling
a freak
debts.
show. When you said I saw a shitty Adam Sandler movie, I said that's redundant.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I like a lot of his stuff, but the new stuff is trash.
it is
There,
trash.
there is what's the 80s one?
Wedding Singer.
Wedding Singer.
There's Wedding Singer, there's Happy Gilmore, there's Uncut Gems. The rest of it can go in a bag and throw it in the river.
Oh, I like The Water Boy. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah.
It's funny, but it's low hanging fruit. It's just a lot of people getting tackled, and that's hilarious. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of.
And I
That's
like
funny.
the one Daddy something Daddy or
Daddy's Home
Big,
or Big Daddy. Big Daddy.
something
There's
like
a
that with
difference.
the little boy. That was
Yes.
funny. That was cute.
He's getting no more of my energy.
I think I had to be of a certain age to truly appreciate Adam Sandler. It's kind of like him and Kevin Smith, for example. It's like when I was
Yeah.
in the 90s, I thought these were comedy genius. And
Yeah.
then I kind of got older, but the movies kind of stayed the same. You know what I mean?
Their
So,
humor
such is
development
life.
stopped around 8, 9 years old, and they never emotionally grew beyond that. So I just assume that's equal level of if they were your husband. So
It is
that's all I
true, but
imagine.
Grown Ups was also had some funny moments in it. When
Is
he's
that
got
the one where they
full
go to
day.
the cabin?
Yeah, I think so.
We are paying for him to go on vacation with his family and friends. That's basically,
Yes.
they're like, we're in Hawaii, let's shoot a movie. That's basically what it is.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
good
Anyway,
times
off
had
of
by all. Aaron, give us your 30-second synopsis of The Pope's Exorcist.
The Pope's Exorcist. Apparently, the Pope has an exorcist who runs around the world in his Vespa tricking demons. Except this time, maybe he's going to meet his maker. And the church doesn't believe in evil anymore. But anyway, he gets on his Vespa, rides 19 and a half hours from Rome to fucking Spain.
Yeah.
And
In the rain.
puts the clamp down. It becomes the fucking Da Vinci Code. And all is right with the world at the end. Watch The Exorcist. Watch The Exorcist.
It almost seemed like they were setting up sequels. There are 199
absolutely
unholy places you
Yeah.
have to visit. I don't know what accent.
They
I'm doing.
dream.
It is in the process. A sequel is in the process.
Oh, for reals? Oh,
Yeah.
sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
More
Now that
Russell
could
Crowe.
just mean that they're trying to write something. Doesn't mean that they're filming it. It just said in the process.
Russell's
We're already,
available.
yeah, they've already set it up. So there's 199 more. It'll surpass Halloween, the Aliens, Friday
James
the
Bond.
13th. They'll have the corpse of Russell Crowe. Eventually, it'll be actually his physical corpse in a cage, and his descendants will still get a check. They'll dig him up for this.
I've talked about this before, but I appreciate the fact that about 15 years ago, Russell Crowe's like, you know what? I'm eating nothing but carbs and no more crunches for me.
He's still
You
sexy
know?
as he's still sexy. I'm just saying that.
Never was. Too many moles.
Well, he's asleep. I mean, I assume he drinks a lot of whiskey, so you can wait till he falls asleep and put some of that wart removal on.
The compound W.
as he passes out on the couch at 7:00 every night, you can come by with the compound W and burn that shit off.
By the way, compound W is just basically, I'm going to put some sulfuric acid on your flesh. How's that grab you? Sure, there's no more.
Till it drills a hole into your brain.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Sure, you don't have the wart, but you have a massive sore coming out of your. Okay, moving
Just
on.
a crater. a crater that you continue to pour compound W in.
Is that worth it?
Wait a minute. Stream of consciousness. I was on TikTok because I follow this Irish lady, and she noticed she had a bump in her lady thing, but she figured she was going to DIY it. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hang on. A bump on her what?
In her lady region. Sometimes ladies get little cysts, and she wasn't quite sure what it was, but she
Wait a minute.
figured
What do you mean by
DIY.
DIY it? What is that?
She put compound W on it.
Oh,
That's not
let's
a good
get her
move.
on the podcast. She sounds like an uncut gem.
She has got to be an unkept gem. I believe it. Eventually, she worked her way to urgent care.
Eventually, he dragged her
John
corpse.
Copeland will tell us the rest at the next family reunion.
We have a relative who's like a trauma nurse. Always a good for a tale or two.
Pull up a
Anywho,
chair and
do
a big
not.
glass of wine.
And an
You
empty
need a-
stomach.
Yeah, you need a relative who's like works in an emergency room and one that works in a psychiatric hospital, and then you can just sit for hours just listening for the tales.
Yep.
Now, okay, back on track. Had any of you seen this movie before? Because this is my first viewing.
I wanted to go see it at the theater. I was all pumped up, and then something got in the way of it, so I never saw it. So I was excited when
was
it popped up
gone.
on Netflix.
Yeah, it was gone in the blink of an eye.
That's a sign. That's a sign.
This was kind of like Knock at the Cabin, Aaron, where we were like, oh, it's on our list, let's go to the movies, and then we just didn't.
Right.
And then, months passed, we're like, I guess we'll wait till it's free on Netflix. Sounds and worth every penny. Let me just say that.
With Knock at the Cabin, I think the opening week was Valentine's Day. So I actually took my family to go see it on Valentine's Day.
That's a family film.
Yeah, that's a love story. Let's do that. Yeah, half the family walked out. I actually kind of enjoyed that one. Have you reviewed it?
Yes.
They walked out. They walked out of the theater. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's too traumatic for some people.
Dave Bautista was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I totally bought him as a second grade teacher, getting small, talking quietly. Oh my! I thought he was a wizard.
Yes, he's a very intriguing person, just
Agreed.
in general.
Unfortunately, in this film, nobody's so much intriguing or interesting.
Well, you thought Russell Crowe was still rocking it.
He's still rocking it, but it's not enough.
He's 6'3", 215. Looking
He's
great.
6'3"?
215. I got that reference. I knew what you were saying. That's hilarious.
What's that from?
That's Donald Trump self-identifying as height and weight. Yes.
I was like, I'm pretty sure Russell Crowe can fit in my smallest handbag.
Not his belly. That's for sure. Sweet Jesus. And we're not here to fat shame. Dad bod. That's all right, I suppose. It's not healthy, but whatever you want to do. Whatever, live your life, whatever.
Well, I don't know what's less healthy, us getting him drunk and burning off his bowls, or him just living his best life.
I thought he looked good. I mean, I was never like somebody who thought Russell Crowe was gorgeous or anything, but I love him in this. I thought as underwhelmed as I was, I thought without him, they would have been in a world of hurt, because I really thought he was great. His accent was spot on.
I thought he was great. Unfortunately, that's the only thing great in this film.
It's interesting. Somewhere along the lines, he became like the Meryl Streep of accents. Because he's Australian. He is busting it. I'm Italian now. In this movie, I'll be Italian. It's like, where's this coming from? Did he take voice lessons?
Dude, he was rocking it. He sounded great.
Yeah. Sounded great.
He was that role. And then when you see what the real dude looked like, he looked like the Gollum. So they really handsomed him up real nice.
Well,
and they must have paid him a fortune. They had to have paid him a fortune.
Why do you say that? What else has he got going on these days?
He's had 6 years to work on that accent.
I have no doubt, and granted, whatever he's doing these days, but he's still, I think, just a force. I think he's such a great actor.
Yeah, he can do it.
I think he can pick and choose. He's not, desperado, but I think they clearly made him an offer, a really good offer.
An offer he couldn't refuse.
Right.
He's got to pay his rent as well. Why do you think Pope John Paul II was played by Franco Nero? Is my question.
I read
The beer.
they said it was not based on Pope John Paul II, even though that would have been the Pope at the time
Right.
that this
Yes.
took place. It was not based on anything of Pope John Paul II. Nothing.
I guess my question
this is why he died.
right, because this is supposed to be based on a true story.
Right.
Or this is the real. This is like The Conjuring. Where
Yeah.
it's like the Warren family doing their thing.
Most of it was based on malarkey. It was completely fictionalized. There were only bits and pieces.
Just like
Well,
The Conjuring, where it was bits and pieces.
So it's just that weird thing where it's like, yes, it takes place in 87, and yes, here's the Pope, but it's obviously not the Pope that we know at the time. So
Yeah.
Yes.
John Paul II wishes he looked like Franco Nero.
Aaron always has a special spot for Franco Nero from way back.
He was from Camelot. He was so handsome as Lancelot in Camelot.
No idea who he is.
You never saw Camelot?
If I did, I don't remember it.
All right. I'm sad for you then.
Yeah.
He's been in a ton of shit. I always talk about he was in Enter the Ninja in 1981. So you have that to look forward to. Check out his IMDb page.
I think Camelot may have been the apex, but I'm glad to see he's kicking around. He's doing all right. Italian, at least they're throwing an Italian in there somewhere. I don't know.
I wonder if there was, obviously it was a conscious effort to not have whatever this actor is, Franco Nero, you're saying, was played, to not have him resemble the Pope in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because I was like, how much of this is true? How much is not? I did read that Father, is his name Armuth, or what's the character?
Something like that.
Something like that he actually met with when he sold his rights before he died, that they went over the story and everything. And he was really specific about what could and couldn't be done with his life story. And I wonder if that may have been part of it. I don't know.
I think it was just because John Paul II is beloved, that they didn't want to alienate all the Catholics.
But this Pope was
talking
a good...
about... Go ahead.
I was just going to say that after you.
Well, I think they kind of crossed that line when he said, that the devil has infiltrated the Vatican, and tried to, talk about the Spanish Inquisition all being about a pope or a cardinal who was possessed or something.
Right. Did you automatically start thinking about Mel Brooks, the Inquisition? Look out, sin, the Inquisition. All right. Well, maybe that's just me.
Shall we jump right into the highlights?
I thought we did.
What was that? Anywho, go ahead. You guys.
I like it when everybody's possessed, but they all only speak English when they're possessed. So the first person had an American accent. The little kid is now British. But they don't ever speak like Latin or Italian or Spanish. They don't speak the language of wherever they're from.
Well, I have to talk about the backstory, because it was something like there's a young American family who are going to Spain because the husband died in a car crash a year ago. And because of the trauma of that, the youngest son does not speak. And there's no like, hey, we got him into a therapist. No, they're just like, whatever. Less screaming in the kitchen, I guess, if my child is mute for a year. And the husband's death left them in such financial straits that he happened to leave them a Spanish church that they have to go remodel, like love it or leave it, or
we don't have any money to live on. This is why we need to spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to remodel this abbey versus just sell the abbey.
I mean, who's paying for the reconstruction? for having all the round the clock Spanish contractors refurbishing this ancient castle.
It is. I would have signed up for the show. They should have called like TLC or something. I don't understand all these dollar villas in Italy. Why isn't that a show? I would have signed up to watch them have TLC, have Niecy Nash or something over there while they're redoing the villa. That would have been a show. That's what I would have done if I was saddled with this.
Yeah, you could do like a Paranormal Activity meets HGTV. And,
everybody. Everybody from Discovery and TLC could have like a month there doing a different show. Boom.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Can I also talk about the family? That there's no trope I hate worse than the angsty teenager. It drives me freaking crazy every time.
It's true to form.
But I don't want to see that in my films. Damn it.
In every film, you can always count, if there's a tragedy, you can always count on your angry daughter just like calling you by your first name and being a bitch instead of stepping up. Yes, and whatever you want. My father's dead.
It's like, my husband died. Your brother's a mute. Would you help us out? F off, Mom. Kiss my ass. It's like, oh, okay. Well, good.
Okay, but that didn't bother me because I could totally see that this little gal, lost her dad. She's a shitty teenager, and her mom is now uprooting her and making her move into a haunted mansion with no one around, and she's not on board. To me, that bothered me less than the horrific acting on the central family. The mother, completely boring and uninteresting. Yeah. The children, it was a poor man Zendaya playing the daughter, and the poor little anorexic boy. I just wanted to feed that little mute. That poor little bastard.
Oh
Gollum.
The Gollum. Son of Gollum.
Out of the three of them, the little boy did the best job. And
who knows? It was all so much CGI and bullshit. I mean, they could have just done practical effects. I mean, it could have been like The Exorcist, but it always has to be over the top to be scary nowadays. It was a little irritating.
Nobody likes the less is more. And when it comes to Satan, less is more, because I literally was not scared at all, and I'm always trepidatious on the base and truth when it comes to Satan, as we all are, Catholic and lapsed Catholic. So this was just kind of, at a certain point, you're just like, this is cartoonish. Yeah. Damn it, I'm disappointed.
Well, and I think there's something to be said for the fact, like you said, that the family was kind of a clean slate. Like, they didn't really spend much time developing them at all. And usually, we watched The Exorcist not that long ago. The whole, before The Exorcist gets involved, is a whole process where it's like a slow burn of all the shit that's going down, going to the doctors. Like, that's 45 minutes of the movie. You know what I mean? Where you really get to know the mom and the daughter and all the shit they're going with. Whereas this, it's like, kid's possessed on Monday, go to the doctor on Tuesday. The Pope's exorcist shows up on Wednesday.
It's not about them. That's why.
At all.
The movie is not about them. The movie is about Russell Crowe and his sexy Italian accent. If it was about them, then there'd be a focus. I totally know what you're saying.
Right.
But the movie doesn't care about them. We don't care about them. I don't want to see a little wasp of a child disappear, but who cares? It's really about Russell Crowe and the weird. It's not even really about the weird Spanish priest. It's all Russell Crowe, because it's all ego. They're playing into the ego. So obviously the real priest, it was all about his ego also.
Right. Well, like you said, it's not about the family. At one point, Russell Crowe's just like, okay, guys, there's 45 minutes left in the movie. Why don't you guys get in your car and drive away? We don't even need to see you ever again.
We're tired of coming up with shit for you to do. So why don't you just boogie out of here, go to an Airbnb, get the out.
And then I don't think there's a scene at the end where it's like the happy family's like, everything's is cool now. No, they're good.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
No.
The end. What are they? They turned the Abbey into MI6? What is that? It looks like a fucking James Bond situation that the Catholic Church. I mean, I've been to the Vatican. It don't look so high tech. It's still an old thing with tons of money, and
But
it's
you
still half
haven't been
crumbling.
down to the special area.
That's true.
You don't know what's going on down below.
That's right.
Did you request to see the Pope's Exorcist?
I want to see the Pope's Exorcist. Here's my Opus Dei ring. I've written enough checks. Let me in.
No, you have not.
Now, what was up with the Bizarro Tribunal or whatever it is? It's like Russell Crowe has to go meet with the panel, and they're all pissed off at him. And of course, there's like the young Pope. Is that the? He's like a 25-year-old cardinal who's American. What are you doing? We're getting rid of the old Pope. You sit down and listen to your superiors, Russell Crowe. It was very bizarre.
I wish it was the young Pope. That would have been Jude Law in there kicking around.
Now you're talking. No, that was definitely that commentary about the old thinking versus the new thinking, and there is that concept that the devil is not the devil is a concept. It's evil is a concept. It's not a real like person. Versus old school, and I remember Mom used to say this to me. I think she said it to all of us. Me in particular, the devil could come in and sit down at our dinner table tonight. It's not an idea. It's not, because I would argue this, and it's like, oh no, the devil is as real as you or I, and could come in and sit down at our dinner table. I mean,
peel an egg. He would peel an egg with his long
pointed acrylic fingernail. Yes. So that was the nod to that the new way of thinking is that this is a concept, and the old way of thinking of, oh no, it's the devil is as real as you or I kind of thing.
Right.
But what was weird was I appreciated the fact that, and I guess Father felt this way in true life as well as depicted in the movie, that 99% of so-called possessions are just mentally ill people who are mentally ill. But even still, that 1% that he's saying still existed and that he treated, that's 1% too many for my liking, for
Hell
sure.
Yes. Hell
and
yes.
It seems to all be centered around Catholics. You don't hear about a lot of Jewish exorcisms. Evangelical possessions, atheist possessions. You don't hear that.
Oh no, there's like ones in Africa. The boy
Catholic.
who the Exorcist was based on was not Catholic. I think he was Lutheran.
Close enough.
And then they ended up saying, "Bring in the Catholics." Like this is their expertise.
This is we're rolling up the sleeves. Here we go. The power of Christ compels you.
Get Max von Sydow in here and Demi.
Demi, why you do this to me?
Why you do this to me?
Oh, Lord.
Now, just on a little off note, our Aunt Helen told me that my now defunct priest here in Bakersfield had in fact done several exorcisms and had gone to Rome in like the 90s or 2000s for exorcism training. So I wonder if he was this homie died in 2016. So,
well, there's a new one, a current Pope.
Exorcist. There is, and his belief was that every diocese has to have an exorcist there. He felt it was a mortal sin because he felt there had to be somebody local on spot in every diocese needed an exorcist.
Yeah, there apparently was one in Fireball, which is north of us, that really kicked it over where he needed to go to Rome for training.
Of
course, Fireball is where all the accusations also started to come from.
Fascinating.
Shocking. As a child, I remember hearing of the movie The Exorcist, and in my mind, The Exorcist was like an evil thing. You know what I mean? Like, because it's a horror movie, you figure that the scary thing is the title of the movie, not the hero coming in to save the day kind of thing.
Because it's a scary word. The word is scary.
It is.
And it sounds like it's the Pope that needs the exorcist. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, which one went over the edge? I bet it was that Ratzenberg. I bet he's the one who went over the edge.
There's nobody named Ratzenberg, by the way.
Ratzinger.
I was talking. We were in Ireland. We were talking exactly. We were talking about the Pope, and it was funny because we always called Pope Francis, but we always called Pope Benedict Ratzinger. They never called him Pope Benedict. Like, Dad,
I called him Pope Benedict. I never called him Ratzinger.
I'm not talking about the world. I was just talking about in the car of our conversation.
Oh.
Even Dad referred to him. That's exactly what it was. It was a racist.
Racist against Nazis? Is that what racist against Germans? I always called Pope Francis Papa Francesco. He always found so friendly. Papa.
And what do you call Franco Nero?
Daddy.
Same thing.
There it is. So, okay, let me ask you this question. This is kind of back on track, hopefully. There's a hole there's a hole in the wall down in the basement, and the electricians or whatever going like, oh, I can't see what's in there. Hand me one of your flares. Why do the electricians have flares? How about a flashlight, jackass? Of course, it blows up.
Maybe we didn't have flashlights in the 90s.
They say before they light the flare, smells like methane. Hand me that flamethrower. Yeah. What the hell?
It's basically I was trying to look up the Spanish word for Amityville horror so I could whistle it out, but anyway, they were trying to basically drag the Amityville Abbey going on here. I was waiting for I'm blending all the things. So I wanted the old man from Poltergeist to show up. I wanted the walls to bleed and flies to show up. I was waiting for all this to happen, and it didn't.
Rod Steiger to show up and loudly retch outside the place. Ah! Ah! If you haven't seen that, I always talk about this. If you have not seen Amityville Horror lately, the number of religious characters in that movie who run out of the house and immediately loudly vomit. Not just, I'm sick of my stomach, but ah! You have to go check it. It is crazy. It is crazy. The aunt who's a nun, she's like, I gotta get the hell out of here. Ah! Anyway.
And they still don't leave. They're like, how many people have to wildly retch in the presence? And they're like, nah, let's keep our kids here. It's all good.
Absolutely. Sweet Jesus. Anywho, I wrote down kid lip syncs. I found it hilarious. Whenever the little golem kid chained to the bed would speak in a crazy devil voice, because it just didn't work for me. It just didn't match just right. It just because he's a little kid, grabbing the mom's boob and dropping F-bombs, and it was just like, come on.
But I don't think the Exorcist chick, it was only her voice sometimes. They did something similar. They just did it better, because this was out of sync. It was like irritating.
Well,
it was too much. Again,
right.
It just goes on, and you're like, come on.
I get it. Well, he didn't masturbate with a crucifix, so it is a little tamer that way.
But again, they don't tie him down till the end. They've got the tranquilizer, but they don't use that immediately. It's all the same, malark where you're like, really? Like, why isn't he?
Can you tranquilize the devil?
Well, here's a question.
Shut down the bod.
Yeah.
Why were they giving the mom literally syringes to jam into the kid's neck for a tranquilizer? How about a pill, a chewable, perhaps, for your 6-year-old, instead of jamming like a huge adrenaline shot?
Why didn't they just knock him out the whole time till they figured this shit out?
Of course.
Yes. Why? Like, there's not hospitals in Spain? Like, they don't have hospitals where you would take your kid?
Oh, Tara, this is what you get with your socialized medicine. Well, haven't you heard?
They took them to the doctor, and the doctor's like, I don't know, psychosis, and just walks away. Deuces.
Because we don't have hospitals or doctors for that.
Right.
They don't.
Right.
No can do. You got to handle it your own self.
That's right. Do it with diet. Do it like Kanye. Do it with diet and exercise.
Oh, Scientology, where are you when we need you?
Now, let me ask you this. When young Ralph Macchio appeared on the scene, didn't you think he was kind of suspicious? Because the way he was holding, oh, it is so nice to meet you, my dear, and like holding her hand, he seemed a little questionable to begin with. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We knew he had baggage the minute he slimed in. He was just so greasy.
He
was
struck
sus.
me
He was
as
sus.
greasy. To me, he struck me as inexperienced but full of himself. Like a novice. Yeah. A novice but he thinks he's the bomb when really he's trash.
No, I knew there was going to be revelations. It was going to go one way or another.
Was pretty weak. They insinuated something far worse, and then you just found out that he had an affair and dumped her. But they insinuated like he was abusing, all the young women in his church, when it was really
that's
like
what the devil said.
The love of his life.
Right. He fell in love with a girl in the village. I don't know if it's a village. It could be a major metropolis for all I know. Fell in love with a girl from the village, and they had an affair, but he loved God more than he loved her. So he had to
Translation, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
100%. He said he was effing her knowing full well this was never going to go anywhere.
Absolutely.
So how is it the love of your life? If you're like, meh, we'll just keep doing this for a little while until she gets to be a pain in the ass. And then we give her a heave-ho.
Yeah.
Interesting. And
you never really find out what happened to her, right?
She was fine. She was just like, whatever. She went on with her life.
She's raising his 12 bastard children.
That is the reality. Yes. She's Hester Prynne.
Yeah, she's Hester Prynne.
She's got the scarlet letter. She was chased from the village, again with the village. And who knows where she is these days.
Pitchforks and torches.
But you know what?
Putana.
The dark shit was the girl that father felt like he didn't listen to and just said she was mentally ill, who committed suicide. The inference that she had been abused and kidnapped and used as a sex slave at the Vatican, that was creepy. That was really creepy.
She was mentally ill and he didn't research it, but he's also, as he said, not a psychiatrist. He's there to see if you're possessed by the devil or not.
But she came to him, or she, at some point when he had an interaction with her, she was saying these things. I'm being sexually abused, and or heard the rumors or whatever, and like nothing ever came of it. And that was a real thing.
Yeah.
That was one of the true parts. That about a woman who disappeared at the Vatican, and they said they didn't infer that it was like the cardinals, but that the Vatican guards would do this.
The Swiss guards,
local girls, and kidnap and have these orgies and stuff like that.
But we don't think she wasn't possessed. She was just mentally ill. But he said his sin was that he was too proud. It was something bizarre. My sin was pride.
He was convinced or didn't do enough.
He didn't do enough. He just basically was like, she's mentally ill. Now somebody else deal with it. And she felt like, this was just my interpretation, that nobody was listening to her. She'd been abused and she was out. She's like, I can't deal. Yeah. Like he felt he should have been able to prevent that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There was a scene where they find the secret sanctum down below and they get to the bottom of the mystery that, whatever it was, 500, 600 years ago, the Pope's exorcist at the time was possessed by the demon or whatever, Osmodeus, and started the Spanish Inquisition. But there was a priest who was like in a little crazy cage, and to proceed they had to get the key out of the corpse's stomach. Did you see that freaking key? It was like 6 inches long. It's like, how the hell did he swallow it? Was it suppository?
Maybe he didn't swallow it. Maybe it went the other way.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't some little like a bus like a bus locker key. It was freaking medieval. Anyway, shocking and horrifying.
I thought that was very interesting. That really excused the church, didn't it? Well, it wasn't our fault the Inquisition took place. Clearly the devil was at work. And once we realized, we locked the devil up in an abbey in Spain. What do you know?
Well, I think that was kind of what this priest or the Pope's exorcist in real life kind of believed. That was the reason for the Spanish Inquisition, was clearly the devil had gotten inside. Right. So I think that was his personal belief. I thought
because people just don't do shitty things.
Exactly. But I think, and it was kind of interesting when you saw that, and I was like, is that an Iron Maiden? Like, what is happening in this cage where there's a skeleton? And when they give you that thing, well, it wasn't to when you realized it was, he locked himself in because he had taken on the devil or whatever, and locked himself in and made sure that this was supposed to be, blocked off for all of eternity. But then you find out that the Vatican knew about this, and that's when they redacted all the paperwork and the Pope was reading it. Like, you think they'd want to say, hey, this is, unconsecrated devil ground. Like, if you don't want to get into the nitty gritty, you would just have a big area where it's like, nobody's allowed this, which begs the question, how did this family get the deed to San Sebastian Abbey?
And how did the devil get out anyway? The devil's dancing around the corridors, having a happy old time. Meanwhile, all those doors are locked and stuff.
Because they busted open that wall that the flame threw. That was when they kind of knocked open that wall, supposedly, that let it all out.
Catholic technology, not at its finest.
Yeah,
that's all it takes. It was just a little mortar keeping the devil at bay.
Yeah, I mean, why not just blow up the whole thing? Like, let the Vatican go in there and just, drop it 50 feet into hell. Like, literally just blow the whole damn thing up.
I liked how there were scenes of like the Pope literally doing the research. He's like, I will research this for you, brother. And then what? There's no like cell phones. It's like then you'll just have the information while dude is 2,000 miles away in Spain.
The Pope will get on his Vespa and drive over to Spain.
I'll be there in a couple of weeks. Good luck.
I like how he brought all his exorcism. It had been a suitcase in the Vespa. It was a donkey running behind it.
There was a donkey. There was a donkey. By the way, speaking of donkeys, this is totally apropos of nothing. When we were in Ireland, everybody we met who was Irish, that'd be like, when I was here in the 80s, there would be like donkey carts just walking down the street. I'm like, boy. I don't know. I'm not sure they appreciate these reminiscences, Dad, to be honest, but that's neither here.
I was there in the 80s. There weren't any fucking donkey carts rolling down the streets of Dublin.
There was nothing but donkey carts.
Donkey Kong, maybe.
In their villages.
No. Oh, my God. Our father did not.
Go ahead. What are you going to say?
We're all barred from the mother country. They've burned any evidence of our family. Oh my God, Dad's out of his mind. I was on that same trip with him. I saw no fucking donkey cars.
It's hilarious. Any other thoughts and feelings you guys have? Any other?
Yeah, on the character that they wrote for this Father Amoth, I can't remember what his real name is, but I did like that he was, hitting the whiskey or whatever he was drinking. That was
really
funny.
I
like that he did have a funny sense of humor.
Yeah,
like, there were little because Russell Crowe is just so freaking good. Like, I wish it would have been really more about him than this. It turned into like some sort of X-Men. Like,
it was bullshit.
We're gonna battle
13 Ghosts bullshit. Yeah,
because he was so funny. Like, when he was like, "Oh, I've heard a lot about you, Father." He's like, "Have you read my books?" He's like, "No, just articles." He's like, "The books are good." He had his funny little things. So I really like that character. I wish it would have been more focused on that. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I would say Russell Crowe is the nugget. but that nugget alone is not enough to save this. I do want to talk about the first exorcism. I thought that was kind of crazy with the pig, where they had to convince the devil to jump into the pig and then killed the pig in the poor people's living room.
Yes.
But that
Well,
wasn't
everyone
exorcism.
in Italy. Well, it's a fake exorcism. I love
Right.
everybody in Italy is in ruins with like a pig in the front yard.
It was a good pig, though.
Maybe that was where the donkey cart was.
That's right. That's what sweet Jesus.
Well, it was interesting because it's like, he said to him, "Do you have a television?" Because he was speaking
Yes.
English, this person, so he had his little litmus test for what does this quote unquote demon know? What does it
Right.
not know? And he knew within 2 seconds it was malarkey,
Right.
and then it's like,
he's the Pope's exorcist, right? He's not just some dude. Anybody can go find out the name of the Pope's exorcist. I can go on right now and find out the name of the Pope's exorcist.
This was the 90s. You would have had dial-up.
This is the 87. So this would have been like, what is it? The Pony Express, or throwing a dove out your window and hope for the best. I don't know.
Well, but not only that, I don't know. I mean, this was always something. I mean, this is what Dad had said to me. That was always kind of not an embarrassment within the Catholic Church, but something that they kept this stuff on the DL. Even when there were documented cases with these exorcisms.
No, I think it was an embarrassment. Like, we are some old snake charmers and old-fashioned dark age religion versus, the evangelical, hey, we're going to play electric guitar, we got a band, and we got all this stuff. We got fucking exorcism, and we got a lot of beads.
But the way that the evangelicals and people in the, they're out there speaking in tongues, they're
with
snake charmers,
shit,
they're doing their stuff, and that's part of their thing, is it's really, in your face, where Catholic is lowbrow. Like, we don't talk about this stuff. Like, dad like spoke to one of the Jesuits or something who knew someone who was involved with that case that The Exorcist was based on. And it was like super hush hush.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And now I just read an article to prepare for this. Half the stuff that was initially reported, they've all recanted. No, we never really saw this. No, we think it could have been done by the boy. We don't know how, and the boy who it was based on, did you know, ended up working at NASA and developed some high-tech something for the space shuttle, and like, it was crazy.
So this is like, instead of the devil in the Vatican, we got the devil in NASA.
The devil's astronaut, or whatever the Pope.
He blew up all the space shuttles. Is that what you're telling me?
I am not saying that.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
No, but even that, like, most of the stuff they were like, they've recanted or come out with explanations for, and that's like the most famous one in the United States. Right. So even that, most of it has been recanted. And they said they had to do like dozens of exorcisms on that person.
Right.
Dozens. Like, it was ongoing and grueling forever trying to get that, whatever happened there.
Little Reagan.
Poor little Reagan.
She grew up to be Ronald Reagan.
Little did we know.
That makes sense.
Did you know Linda Blair was like in a serious relationship with Rick James for like 5 years in the 80s, and he wrote the song Cold Blooded about her?
I think she was a little effed up after this, and she went into heavy drugs after this.
Yes.
Believe it or else.
We're all over the map on this story.
I thought you were going to tell me he wrote Super Freak about her.
That would have been funnier.
That's too upbeat. Too upbeat.
Sweet Jesus. Shall we go behind the scenes?
Lay it on me.
Let's see. While researching the life and work of Father Gabriel Amorth, Russell Crowe discovered that Amorth's personal favorite movie was The Exorcist.
I bet.
So much so that Amorth became good friends with its director, William Friedkin, who just died recently.
Yeah.
And who would later direct a documentary of Amorth's work as an exorcist called The Devil and Father Amorth, which came out in 2017.
Oh, I want to watch.
Check it out.
Yeah, I will.
Russell Crowe met with personal friends of Father Amorth, including one who had accompanied Amorth in over 150 exorcisms in order to get to know the character he was playing. So
Interesting. Is Crowe Catholic?
I don't know.
I'm going to say yes, based on nothing.
Based on absolutely nothing. Let's see. There's a brief scene in which Father Amorth walks away from the Colosseum in Rome. In an interview, Russell Crowe confirmed this is a wink and a nod to Gladiator.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, like that.
Let's see. According to an interview with a Vatican-approved exorcist, he speculated that if Gabriel Amorth was alive, he'd be disgusted by the use of his name and character treatment of exploited in the film, such as his saying this. He would be railing against this movie. So there you go.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe is not Catholic, but he did meet Pope Francis and said, "I like this guy." There you go.
That's all I need to know. This movie was actually filmed in Dublin and Limerick, Ireland.
Woo!
With all the donkey carts. Absolutely.
So does that mean he rode his scooter from Rome across the English Channel and across the Irish Sea?
Right through the channel.
Well, they had to have filmed in Rome. They had to have filmed some.
They had exterior shots. Or is this like a Ed Wood situation? They just got some stock footage.
Yes, the exterior stuff was filmed in Rome, but basically the majority of the movie was filmed in Ireland. So there you go. Let's see. Anything interesting? The woman who plays the mother is only 11 years older than her on-screen daughter.
Yeah,
so that explains the
standard.
issue.
Standard. Human trafficking.
Always.
It's human. According to Russell Crowe, during one of the screenings in New Zealand, a theater usher played a prank on the audience by striking a broom against the wall during one of the more frightening scenes, which startled the audience greatly.
They should have had the tingler under the seat.
They absolutely should have. Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we? The guy who wrote this, his name is Michael Petroni. He, like 5 years ago, did another Exorcist themed movie called The Rite, R-I-T-E.
I didn't see that, but I know of its existence. There we go.
Franco Nero's in it again.
He's 700 years old. He's been revived.
He's known for writing The Book Thief. He wrote on the TV series Messiah. He wrote
Jesus.
Chronicles of Narnia.
I'm sorry, he wrote the Chronicles of Narnia.
I'm talking about the screenplays, not the He wrote the original novels.
He is C.S. Lewis. That's his nom de plume.
He also wrote The Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys, which makes a lot of sense.
He might have some issues. He may be Catholic.
Yeah.
Let's see. Russell Crowe played Father Gabriel Amorth. You know him from such things as he played Javert on Les Miserables. He was poor thing. He was Maximus in Gladiator. He was John Nash in A Beautiful Mind. He was Bud White in LA Confidential.
Yeah,
a ton of stuff.
So good. Even in this, so good.
Let's see. Father Esquivel was played by Ralph Macchio. Just
totally
kidding.
Forgettable. Dude, don't you watch Cobra Kai?
He looks just like him.
He looks nothing like him.
Oh, go back
and
look.
You.
You guys are out of your damn mind. His real name is Daniel Zavato. He's Costa Rican.
Anthony Zavato from what is that?
Yes.
Jump Street.
That's correct. You know, I don't know who are you trying to say?
He's talking about Antonio Sabato, who was not on Jump Street, though I do think he's on Fox News a lot right now.
He is.
That's never
with
good.
Chachi.
With Chachi
and John
Kevin
Boyd.
Sorbo.
And John Boyd. There we go.
Let's see.
There we go.
You know him from 10 episodes of Station 11. He was in, of course, The Pope's Exorcist. He was in Don't Breathe, and he was in It Follows.
Oh, I like that. Who was he in It Follows?
Greg. Does that mean anything to you?
No, not a thing. It just washes over. People are like, have you done this movie yet? I'm like, I don't know.
It's possible. Let's see.
I'm
Franco
not the one to
Nero.
ask.
Franco Nero
Oh,
played the
boy.
Pope. You know him from such things as John Wick Chapter 2.
Right
He
on.
was Django Unchained. He was in the
In Django.
he had like one scene.
Oh, okay.
One scene where he popped in. He was famous for in 1966 playing a character also called Django in the movie Django in 1966. And he was Esperanza in Die Hard 2. And,
And
of
he
course,
was Lancelot in Camelot.
is there anybody else you want to know about from this movie?
No.
I think you've done enough.
No.
think you've-
But did we talk about that there was no evidence that the real father of Mort zipped around on a scooter? Why would that be something like, who came up with that idea?
That's
Russell
funny.
Crowe.
He's Italian, so of course he's going to be on a Vespa. And because Americans have no idea where things are in Europe, we're just going to drive for 19 hours because there's no high-speed rail, right?
I mean,
Russell
why would you do that?
It's so stupid.
Russell Crowe came up with the idea of riding around in the Vespa because when he was in Rome, you will see priests riding around in little crazy Vespas.
Yes.
Now does
But
that
he
mean
doesn't
he's
drive to
traveling?
Spain. They drive it to work. They're not driving like to the other end of Europe
Look,
when there's a high-speed trail.
He went through, France,
The Pyrenees.
down
He went
through,
to-
yes, exactly, thousands of miles. Let's talk about the ratings, shall we?
Oy.
The Pope's Exorcist currently has 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know what the audience gave it?
38%.
30?
81%.
Shut your fucking mouth, because the audience is a bunch of 16-year-old boys.
Well, I think honestly, when you're watching a horror flick, it always is so much better in the movie theater than sitting in your living room in the middle of the day, So maybe if I saw it in the theater, maybe I'd be more generous, to be honest.
I know what you're saying. It would have brought me much more joy to just shout out in the theater going, what the fuck? I would have enjoyed that much more than just muttering it to myself and my cats in my living room.
Let's look and see what the top critics had to say. Johnny Olexini from the New York Post says, "Como se dice? What the hell?" 2 out of 4 stars. That's hilarious. Matt Solar Sights from RogerEbert.com says, a watchable but far from special rehash of exorcism movie cliches. 2 out of 4. Very upsetting. Not a lot of fans in the top critics, I'll be honest with you.
They're not wrong. I mean, if Russell Crowe was not in this, it'd be 1 star. That's just the reality.
Aaron,
And
what
it's
is
a bummer. It's a bummer because I really think that they could have, with all these, books that this guy wrote, all the documentation, everything that they had from this guy who did it for, 30, 40 years and hundreds of exorcisms, you think they could have cobbled together something pretty cool based in reality and all of this. Why they chose to just go off into pure nonsense, I don't know. I don't know why.
Aaron, what is your rating?
After so many movies, I don't know why. I don't know why.
Como se dice? What the hell?
Or in Italian, come se dice.
Maybe that's what he was saying.
Maybe.
I think it was. Yeah.
All right, friends. Russell Crowe was great, and they could have done something with Russell Crowe because his character is fucking interesting. So Russell Crowe is going to get a 5 out of 5. The rest of this horseshit is going to get. I'm going to be generous and give it a 2. Lighting my ass on fire with a torch to blow out the evil spirit out of 5.
You do need that, by the way. Tara, what was your rating?
I agree with Aaron. Russell Crowe is even in terrible movies, he's so good. The character they wrote and his particular dialogue, I thought was fantastic. So I would give it a 3 out of a 5. Yeah, because of
Very
Russell
generous.
Crowe. Yes, because of him, he's that good.
If you could just scrape everything else off of the screen and flick it into the trash and just have Russell Crowe, then we're working with something here. Because his character is interesting. He's just not given anything to work with. That's his fault, because he chose this bullshit. He had the power to flex to do something, but maybe he didn't care. Maybe he's too focused learning Italian and drinking whiskey.
I gave it also 3 out of 5. Ralph Macchio presses like a cross to the woman's head and she explodes, gore all over him. We didn't even talk about it. I was like, what is happening? I think it sounds like my score is kind of the same as yours, and it is, but it's not a good movie. Let's just say that straight up. But it's not, the way you guys are talking about it, you think it's like a piece of shit. It is not a piece of shit. It's just kind of mediocre. Yeah. It's just kind of mediocre. Russell Crowe is good in it. It is a lot of standard exorcism cliches done not as well. But it's not like I was watching it and I was looking at my watch going, when's this shit over? You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, fine, inoffensive, whatever, moving on.
The last couple of movies we had watched were pretty good. I mean, Let Me In was amazing. So once this started rolling, I was like, oh shit, this is where we are. And I'd already gone over my self-imposed 1.5 hour limit on TikTok. So now I was like, now I gotta watch this whole thing. So it was, in the world of exorcism movies, this is not even in the top 10.
Oh, no.
Do you know 10 exorcism movies that you could mention?
Exorcist.
Yes.
The Exorcism of Heretic. The Exorcism of what is it? Emily Rose. There's a bunch, and this is not in the top 10. Even if I have to go out this afternoon and create one, it would still be better than this in the world of exorcism movies.
You've got like 2.5 exorcism movies, and you're still like, this isn't even in my top 10. This isn't as bad as all that.
I can't think of all of them right now, but for sure, in given time, I will post the list of exorcism movies better than this.
Can I jump in on something we didn't discuss?
Please.
What that whole thing of, we've got to find out the demon's name. Once we know the demon's name, well, they knew the demon's name back in the Inquisition times. Yes. Why? They knew it was written in the book. Shouldn't that have been the end of this?
Right.
And
good
even
point.
when they found it, I don't remember Crow going in and saying, "I got your name, little devil."
Right. That didn't end the movie. That wasn't like, all problems are solved. Right.
Yeah. It was like a thing. We've got to figure out who it is. They figured out who it is, and then kind of nothing. It was like, meh.
Well, what you gonna do now, Russell Crowe?
Because the demon's plan was to possess the current Pope's exorcist to have, what, Inquisition Part 2? Electric Boogaloo? Is that what the goal was? Who knows?
Unclear. There was some talk
I hope it was Electric Boogaloo.
That this priest believed that all of the pedophilia and everything that was kind of coming to a head, that was very much, and I can't disagree, satanic. And so I don't know if it was, at that time, it was like, I'm going to bring this guy in and we're just going to keep covering it up and perpetuating and, and that would destroy the church, which frankly it has.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
Quite
frankly, maybe that's part 2, where we've excused the Inquisition. Now part 2 is we excuse the church's pedophilia, and we'll just march on down the list of all our sins, and it's the work of the devil. There we go.
Right.
Excused.
Yeah. So
yeah, I can't wait for the next one. All pedophilia with priests. Can't wait. That's going to be
the title of Exorcist 2. Now we're after the pedophiles.
That's right. The Pope's Exorcist, pedo time or something.
The Pope's
Instead
pedophile.
The
of
calls
hammer
coming from
time.
inside the house.
That's right. The call's coming from inside. The call's coming from inside the church.
Why haven't you
Exactly.
checked the children?
Exactly.
Why do you keep checking the children? How about that?
Yeah. Eek.
Yeek.
Nothing like some good pedo humor. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Good for the whole
Oh
family.
boy. Yeah.
The devil's at work.
So, thank you very much. Go to our
Smooth
page on
transition.
Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on Threads, kind of. You can email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We are on
Eek.
Sweet Jesus. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review, won't you?
Won't you
Aaron!
please?
Aaron, what is
Yes!
your social media situation? For God's sakes.
I have a lot of situations, and they have nothing to do with the Catholic Church. So, my situation on
know.
Instagram is the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. Why belong to a religion when you yourself can be the religion? Don't feed the pigeon. I am on, Threads and stuff. I professionally am on Artsy and First Dibs, Aaron Doherty. Buy some stuff. Boom.
Good stuff. Now, Tara, you are also on social media, but don't seek her out.
Do not.
Direct
Do
message
not.
her. Direct message is what she prefers.
The power of Christ compels you
Christ
not to
compels
slide into her
you.
DMs. Exactly. Sweet Jesus. As you know, what we try to do is each week share some viewer, listener, mail, comments, questions. This week, Aaron,
Woo.
what do you got? Agnes Moorehead?
No, I do not. Julian Cian from Santa Cruz wrote in about the Forbidden Zone, that it is a masterpiece and the basis of their marriage. So that's nice.
That is,
Talk
wait a
nerd-
minute, whoa. That sounds like a cry for help, if you ask me. Sweet Jesus.
Clearly.
Maybe we can bring in the church. I think one of them is a lapsed
Call the
Catholic.
Pope's exorcist.
Call the Pope's exorcist. Talk Nerdy to me noted that the Forbidden Zone looks like those old Spanish sitcoms that would be on TV if you grew up in the greater LA area when you got out of school, where there was like a bee man and people were slapping each other. So I can agree with that.
Stop it, though,
I don't know
gigante.
what that is.
Yeah. You never watch Megan used to watch all the telenovelas and weird stuff. All right. Jaws 3D, Aaron Marshall pointed out that the shark looked fake. So
In the Forbidden Zone?
No, in Jaws 3D. So I can probably agree with that. I'm sure they did not, in fact, use a great white shark. So good eye there, friend.
Good times had by all. Next week, we're going to be doing the science fiction future past classic Rollerball, starring James Caan and others.
And all the rest.
And you can watch, and the Professor and Mary Ann.
Yeah.
You can watch Rollerball on Fubo, MGM Plus, Hoopla, Tubi, Pluto TV, Paramount TV, anywhere your finer crap movies are available. Sweet Jesus. So send in any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show. So thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Tara, for joining us.
Thanks
Good
for
catch.
having me, guys.
Good catch,
Always
Brother Bear.
fun.
Thank you very much, and be well.
Be well.